following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Genesys RPG Podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys Role Playing System created by Fantasy Flight Games and produced by Edge Studio. A show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both a player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me as always are my good friends and co-hosts Chris Holmes and Stefan Dragonspawn. Homie, how you doing?
A little tired because I built some boxes and packed up some shit. I'm maybe moving a little ways down the road soon, and of course I'm a big fat out of shape fat man, and that wears me out a bit.
I feel your pain.
I know, but because I'm a completionist and I bought all of the damn unmatched stuff. Oh, and my Bruce Lee one came in the other day. I have the Buffy version. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, everybody. Yes, I've never seen the show, and I am on the middle of season 5. Yes, I've been binge watching it. Yes, it's a guilty pleasure of mine now. So it's bad, okay. It's good, but whatever.
Once upon a time, it was good television.
I know. It's so. I'm like, why am I watching it? But it's like a train wreck. You just gotta go to the next one.
That's it. The musical episode is great.
I mean, it's Joss Whedon, right? I mean, it's no Firefly, but I mean, anyways, let's move on. Stefan, how are you?
I'm good. I've been also moving a lot of boxes, but related to work. So.
Well, we don't want to hear about work, not on this podcast.
No, but
there you go. Oh, there you go. The no Buffy thing. There you go, Tony. We'll do that.
We have been watching The Witcher, which is kind of cool. That's pretty cool. And also a good oldie sitcom, the old episoes of MASH. With,
that is a Wayback Machine.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. We actually watched the original movie, and then we just started watching the TV series. We're up to season 2 right now. It's pretty good. I remember growing up on that and watching it. My mom hated it, but I loved it. So
I remember watching that show as a little boy.
Yeah. Yep. Way back when, when the TVs were chiseled out of wood.
That's right.
So that was, Other than that, I'm doing good. Up here in Kazakhstan, we have got some snow, but no storm hit us yet. Our dogs love it, so we're enjoying that. How about you, Tony? How are you doing?
I live in the Great White North, that is Michigan, where we did get damn near 2 feet of snow. This week it was a long week. So long, so many hours put in at work. But
where you are, those storms. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, where you are, it just takes that moisture right off of Lake Michigan and just Kalamazoo, dumps it, right? Yeah.
See, basically the clouds just go by and you hear a loud plop. And then there's 2 feet of snow.
That's right. That's all it is. That's really all it is. Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. But no, it's been a long week. I had to cancel gaming multiple times. But my son and I'm trying to get Chris and his buddy Mark in, but we have gone back to playing City of Heroes online.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sean and I, we as a small child, he bonded with me playing as a superhero, playing that game. It's one of his first online games. I let him make character on my account and play it. And
awesome.
Way back when. So he absolutely just adores that game. And so him and I can sit and play and talk for hours playing it.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. So you get to play as a superhero and beat up bad guys. I mean, what else can you ask for? Right?
I know.
Yeah.
And it's one you can jump in and out of in seconds. Yeah, there's no commitment, to which lately for me has been a big deal.
Hard to come by. Yeah.
So, but on another note, we've thank you, Stefan, for building this episode for me. Had a rough week, and you took the mantle.
Whatever I can do to help.
I think the next time, granted, we only have a few episodes left, but I think, Stefan, if you do the show notes next time, you should probably replace his name with like some weird fucking name, see if he reads it. I'm just wondering.
If I didn't write it, I'm not going to read it. That's for damn sure.
If you didn't write it,
I wrote him in the first place.
Something like Nosferatu.
My name is Tony Nosferatu Fanny. What? Did I write that? Yeah.
No. Today's episode is episode 96, a topic inspired by listener Alexander Stoddard. And it's entitled "A is for Adventure."
Right. Well, then let's get on with it, and let's get onto it and have Stefan boost the signal here. How about that? You ready, Stefan?
That sounds good.
Sounds groovy.
All right, we are here now at Boosting the Signal, where Stefan shares all the Genesys news, fresh off the wire, and reviews a project from the Edge Studios section of Drive-Thru RPG, or wherever he may have found this stuff on the internet somewhere. Who knows? What do you got, Stefan?
Yes, all right. So thank you, Chris. So, fellow Genesys fans, so in this episode, I've got something from Artificer Games. Came out maybe just a little while ago. This is their first product for Genesys, and it's called Build Points. It's an alternative to giving players just the additional experience points for at the beginning of a game. So they admit that this breaks the normal progression of the game and allows players to take more powerful talents without the prerequisites, increasing skills beyond the limits set in the core book, or gain more credits or cash, whatever it is, at the beginning of the game. So if they want that really expensive sniper rifle, they could afford it if you want to go by the rules. So I got it. It's pay what you want. So I threw in $1, and it's only a 2-page PDF, but that includes the cover. So it's 1 page of material, really. And the BPs, as they call them, are meant to replace the extra experience completely, and you use that to build a character you want to play with more freedom than you would normally have. So if your GM agrees to this, sometimes it's a way to just build the characters a little bit more powerful without worrying about the whole pyramid progression or buying rank 1, then rank 2 or rank 3 of skills. So if there are used, that's what, like I mentioned, be aware that the benefits of drawbacks that they can have on your campaign or the game. Kind of refer to them as super XP, because you can buy, let's say, all the way to rank 5 in a skill at, let's say, session 0. So your characters will be more experienced right off the bat. So there's a few examples in the PDF. Maybe they'll be able to buy talents like dedication to increase a characteristic. So check it out if that's an option that you want for your game, to start with players that are highly experienced or may have somehow inherited some powerful magical items from their grandfather, powerful sword and armor, whatever. for $1, you might would be worth checking out if it's for you. I just wish that he had maybe explained a bit more, maybe a couple more pages. He has a chart in there, or they have a chart on the build point cost, but maybe more detail I found might help. I would definitely maybe reach out to them and ask if they could expand on some details. And then
so you read it.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what's the difference between this? Just a short. What would be? What's your opinion between this? Is this better than, in your opinion, than starting somebody off with 10,000 credits and 150 XP?
Not necessarily better. Maybe a little bit better in the way that it's maybe simpler. You just they get these build points. You don't have to give them 10,000 XP and 10,000 credits.
Right.
They just exchange, let's say, 5 build points to get 500 credits or multiples of 5. And then they just spend those build points to get more skills faster instead of calculating, okay, I have to spend 5 points to career skill, so 5 points to get rank 1, 10 points to get rank 2, etc. They can just spend.
So, in your opinion, would you
X
use
number
it?
of build points.
Would you use this, or would you do the 150 XP and give somebody 10,000 credits? Do you think?
I'd have to play with it. Maybe you'll agree with players if they can try it. If it's good. It was intriguing enough for me to look into it.
Cool.
It might be a way, like I said, to build characters right off the bat real quickly without having to go through all the XP expenditure and going through the pyramid. Because it does say that if you want the improved parry or superior parry, you pay for that, and it assumes you have the lesser versions of it. So, but like I said, sometimes I wish they just have a bit more detail on explaining how they go about it, or if this is actually what they mean. So
a little more explanations then.
A little bit more, like for one of the lines in their table, it says 20 to 50 BPs increase characteristic, converted from XP cost. Okay, 20 to 50. So how much XP does he spend? Does he or she spend to get an extra point in their characteristic? It might be based off of the starting characteristic. If you're increasing it from 2 to 3, it might be only 20, 25. I'll have to read up or maybe ask them a bit more on that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, like I said, they give a few examples. Let's say one says, full example, 100 BP. The cannon is a monstrous man, built like steel. His player uses 75 BPs to gain toughened, enduring, and durable at tier 5. So so 3 talents would be at 25 points each. 75 divided by 3 to get the tier 5, and then additionally they spend.
You have anything to add there, Tony? I'm seeing your face just kind of going, whoa.
Yeah,
you're muted, stupid.
And then additionally, they spend 25 BP to take dedication for brawn, truly a force to be reckoned with, quote unquote. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just 25 build points, to get brawn. They don't say how, if the brawn goes from 4 to 5 or 1 to 2, probably at least 4 to 5 or 3 to 4.
Bonnie Hall.
Yeah, a little bit maybe. If that's a campaign, maybe if it's a short campaign and you just want characters.
I don't know.
If you don't,
First thing that comes to mind there.
Yeah, but if you want a short campaign and you just want the characters to be, awesome characters.
Campaign, all right.
Yeah. It might be suitable.
Could be your superhero campaign there, Tony.
Yeah. That could be fit maybe a superhero campaign too. So I just wanted to put it out there. If it's for you, good. If it's not for you, then
cool. All right.
Yeah. And one other thing is that there's a new VTT available out there called Questline, and they now have the rule set and the or at least modules, whatever they want to call it, for that include the narrative dice system for Genesys.
It's
And
pretty sharp.
pretty
Looking
soon
at the
Star Wars.
screenshots I've seen of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. And the Star Wars system, and a few other systems, of course, the big popular ones of Pathfinder and D Shift 7D and a few others like Call of Cthulhu and stuff. But yeah, the looks good. You can do a free trial for 30 days, which you have like all the bells and whistles. Try everything before you subscribe, and then after that, after 30 days, you can keep the free trial, the free subscription, but you only have limited features, and then you unlock other features as the Adventure or Game Master, so $3 or $5 a month, so not too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it allows you all kinds of other things too. You can use it as a play-by-post site, 3D dice, live play, of course, drag and drop. Has support for numerous rule systems, and it's continuing to grow. So they have a Discord channel if you want to ask questions. You can get on there and have different chat windows and rooms for that. So once our internet here in the county maybe finally gets fixed, I'll look into that. Might be worth it. We'll see.
Awesome.
Yep. So links in the show notes for both the build points and the quest line, vtt.com. If you guys want to go and check it out already.
And pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
Per month too. Yeah.
Yeah. For a Game Master, just $5 a month, so you can get all the stuff. So. And it's web browser based, so you don't need to download it and install it on your computer, a bit like Roll20 and a few others.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Well, there you go. So that's it for this segment of boosting the signal. I hope that helps these fine fellow gamers put out maybe some more products or keep going on their current products.
All right. Well done, man. All right. Well, welcome to the books of Genesys. I
got nothing.
You got nothing good. All right. So this is where we normally break down a section of one of our books bit by bit, but what we're going to do is dive in a little deeper yet shallow, because we don't want to give away any of the adventures that were published. Spoiler free.
Yep.
Deep dive into these one-shot adventures that FFG and Edge Studio had put out for the free RPG Day adventures. We have the Maw of Abraxas for Keyforge that Stefan had looked at. We have the Grand Theft Amber for Keyforge that Tony has looked at. And I have the Ashes of Power for the Twilight Imperium. Yeah. And then there was another one that I will put we'll have links in the show notes to each of these that you could download. There was also one that they did that kind of linked the Descent game for, within Realms of Tyrnoff called Lesser Evils. That we'll just have the link for that one that you guys could download too.
Yeah, none of us deep dove into that one.
We don't know much about it. I didn't even look at it, but it's out there and you'll have a link to it. When you go to the website to listen to this. So, well, let's just get her started.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So, as you said, these the two of them were free RPG Day adventures: Maw of Abraxas and Ashes of Power. Maw of Abraxas was the first one they did. So, Stefan, you want to tell us first of all what's Maw of Abraxas? What's your elevator pitch?
My elevator pitch. Well, if you're taking it directly from the adventure, actually, it has a nice little paragraph that can be spoiler free, but sums it up quite nicely. So the Marble Braxis, it's an adventure in 3 episodes, created to be able to play it in a single session. That will give players a good taste of Genesys in general and a strong feel for the amalgamated world that is the Crucible in particular. So we'll get a bit more familiar with that setting. Written with newcomers in mind, but also with enough challenge and interest for experienced players, no matter what their level. So something for both newbies and experienced players. So that's the basic one, the basic pitch. I had the pleasure of playing in this adventure a few years back when Keith Capel was running it for a virtual con. Keith Capel, of course, some of listeners might be familiar with him. He is the one who published the supplement Ready Fight for Genesys. We had him on the show a while back too, and he ran it. And another one of our friends and friends of the show, Darren West, asked me to join when someone else dropped out at the last minute.
Cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yep. And just to go back on when you mentioned about the lesser evil, we may have touched upon that adventure a little bit on our episode 91, Easy Mode, when talking about Genesys on Easy Mode.
Right.
Oh, okay.
A little bit, again, without divulging any spoilers as much as possible. So if anyone wants to know about that one,
a shallow deep dive.
Yeah, exactly. A medium deep dive.
A deep dive in a shallow end.
Yeah, exactly.
And that came out in 2021, but it was only released as an online free RPG Day adventure.
Yeah.
But also during 2021, we got our first look at Twilight Imperium, homie, Ashes of Power.
And I must say, this is going to be a nice introduction into that setting, I must say. Because you play a member, a party of the Calares, if I pronounced that correctly, basically investigators for the Galactic Council. And you'll learn about this when you play the adventure or whatever, but it throws you into not necessarily the action right away, but you're sent off on a mission, and through this adventure you will uncover some of the background, some history for the setting itself.
Would you say it's more of like a political intrigue style adventure? As an overarching theme?
It has that feel, but not necessarily that theme.
Okay.
But there are elements of that which I feel you can bring in if you would like. I cannot say anything more than that without leaving the shallow end. I must say, just kind of how you're in the shallow end and like that like you're almost like the water's up to your neck. That's about where I'm at. With
you
that.
want to sit just in the shallow end enough to where you can still hold your drink.
Exactly. That's very important.
Yep.
Keep that. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
But it's it's pretty good, I must say. If you read it as a GM, and this is one of my tips, if you definitely read it as a GM, a couple of times you can pull in what you like, and if you know your players and what they like, if they like the intrigue, if they like the politicking, if they like blasting shit, you can pull in whatever you want, I'm feeling. And it is it's a good intro to the system as well.
Nice.
Kind of makes me think of the Star Wars intro games too, how they increase they start you off with the simple skill checks. And I think we mentioned this in our other what do you call it? Show episode
our
91 again.
Mode, yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good. So.
Cool. So and Grand Theft Ember wasn't released for RPG Day, but it was released in conjunction with a novel that they produced that came out from Arcanite Books, and so it was co-written by one of FFG's own, Tim Huckleberry, and Julie Smith as a one-shot. Now, it kind of has this right on the cover of it. It says for level 3 characters, which is kind of
Awesome.
hilarious.
What, Tony? There aren't levels in Genesis? What's up with that?
I think that was a joke, or to give
Awesome.
people an idea of maybe that it's not just beginner characters. But yeah, all in all, I'd say that it's a heist type game.
Cool.
It incorporates bits of the heist mechanics. And
Given the name,
yeah,
I wonder.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's their little pitch for it, I thought, was interesting because it doesn't go into anything about the adventure itself. It just says Grand Theft Ember is an adventure for Secrets of the Crucible, written by these two folks. The module is set in the Crucible's Quantum City and should provide a challenge for characters with 50 to 100 earned XP, taking one session to complete. And it can be used as a one-shot or as a campaign primer.
Oh, there you go.
Which I thought was interesting, and it is kind of written as a prequel to one of the stories, or a couple of the stories, in Tales from the Crucible, the book that it was released in conjunction with, which is a book of short stories.
I would definitely say Ashes of Power. If you want to start a campaign in Twilight Imperium, knowing it and reading it, I recommend using it as a launch point for a campaign setting. Now, there are pre-gens that come with it, but this story, what it does, I would recommend it. Maybe you have to read it to know it. Damn it! I'm still at the edge of the You could use it as a launch point for a campaign, and
right.
Yes. What about Maw of Abraxas, Stefan? Do you think that's a good kicking off for a campaign?
It could, if your players are wanting to get their feet wet, to keep going with the pool analogy in the Crucible. So they're going from one area of the Crucible to the next, which is very different from the previous one, which has different properties and stuff. So you get a taste for this as well, because the planet of the Crucible is big, so you can have all kinds of weird environments to explore. It's much more action oriented in this case, with a little bit of social, a little bit of problem solving, but it's a fairly straightforward kind of adventure. Not as much intrigue, but that's not the point of the Crucible, unless you really want to start going into the factions.
You can, if you want it
now,
to be, you can. Right?
Is it,
oh yeah, you could.
Is it written in like the traditional format where it's broken down into, you've got most traditional one-shot adventures are broken down into a 3-part story structure? Your beginning, which is your intro, your middle, which is where your majority of your investigative work is done, and then your big climax. Is it kind of built like that?
Well, that's it. Reading up again today, just to refresh my memory, is that yes, it has 3 parts, 3 main parts. So, and the first part starts in media res, so the characters are already in the story when the module starts. They puts them in situation A, and then they do split each part into smaller subsections, either little scenes or scenarios, parts, subparts, or encounters. So the GM isn't like fishing for all the information. Okay, this is part 1. They're here, then they can go to a second section, and what do they do from there? So it is broken down even further within the 3 parts.
Nice.
With a lot of little box text that helps the GM sometimes with some information regarding that part, whether it's about NPCs, what they do, how they are, little bits of equipment that are involved, or the whole situation. And a couple of times some box text that they say either you can read out loud as is or paraphrase.
Now, are there one of the questions I ask when I look at an adventure is, does it have bits that can be tossed in and out? Bits that are more of either an alternative way of running an encounter, because sometimes they'll throw in two different ways to run the same encounter, or you'll have an auxiliary encounter that you can add for time filler if you want, or anything. Does it have anything like that in it?
In this one, not really. They have a couple of encounters. I guess they don't want to add too much, because they do mention that their main aim is to be able to run it in one session. Maybe if you run that as a part of a con event. But if you wanted to stretch it out, you could add more, and if the players are willing, explore more of the Crucible, add more sections before you get to the MacGuffin.
What about Ashes of Power, homie? How's that story structure wise?
It's structured how you would expect. It has they have 3 acts in it. They have a couple of encounters in each, and they do have a couple of ways for the players to overcome the second encounter. Actually, they have it looks like they have 3 different ways to do it. If you want, if they do it this way, if they do it this way, if they do it this way, do it this way, and which I like. I think that's pretty cool, because there are crazy ass players out there like myself that may do something weird. What they also have provided, and I'll put this in the link that I'm going to put in the show notes, includes the expanded content for this. They've added a couple of encounters towards the end of the module. They've also added 2 more pre-gens for a total of 6. I know we're going to get into the number of pre-gens for each adventure that you can add or not. Doesn't take away from the adventure at all. And this second act is a little bit of they kind of wrote it almost kind of like a sandbox.
Okay.
Kind of. They could players can go in a couple different directions if you want. Doesn't suck, I must say. It's pretty good. Then in Act 3 is obviously your the climax to it all, and based on whether they succeed or fail in this adventure, could have dramatic consequences for this sector of the galaxy. To be completely honest with you, it's pretty freaking cool. That's why I said it'd be a nice kickoff for a campaign, So.
All right. Well, Grand Theft, as you would guess, is written the same way. It's written into 3 parts. The first part kind of introduces you to the scene, so to speak, that's going on in the city here, and then it's very open at the very beginning on how you incorporate the players and their characters, which is it's not specifically designed just for the pre-gens. It's designed for any characters in the beginning, so that you can have your players, if they decide they want to make their own characters. It's very easy. It's easily written for any group at the beginning.
Yep, I agree too with this.
And then the part 2 is a little bit more of the meat of it. It's the thick part. It's where you're going to do the majority of your session, and then there's big climax at the end. And they don't give a lot of hints or tips on how to run it further or to add or subtract things, but it is very, very concise. If you're looking for an adventure with very little prep as a GM, Grand Theft Ember is, you sit down, you read it once through, you can run it. you don't need a lot else beyond that. Obviously you want to read each section before you get into that section, or paraphrase, should say, skim, whatever you want to call it. But once through reading it, and I had an idea of how I would run this for a group. And it took me all of an hour on 2 different breaks today at work to read it for the first time.
Okay. Nice.
And
it's fairly short. I read it too when I was answering Alex's reply to us on Facebook Messenger when he reached out to us. Because
his question was specifically more about the one you read, right?
Well, that's it. But rereading his inquiry, his first text to us, he didn't specify Maw of Abraxas. I was sure he had. I assumed actually that he just meant the Grand Theft Amber, which was the latest one.
Which had just come out around the time when he originally sent that to us, I think.
Well, that's it. So that's what I thought.
Is that a question that we can put on the air here that doesn't give anything away? Do we want to answer that? Is that what we're getting at here? Do we want to do that right now, or were we prepared to do that?
Well, it's what we had in our in the outro. We had his original question in our outro, but we could read it now if you'd like, Stefan.
Yeah, well, might as well just go back to the notes here. Yeah, so Alex on Facebook Messenger, he had asked about the, Keyforge, the Maw of Abraxas, which I initially thought was Grand Theft Amber. Says, quote, I'm a new BGM with success running the Star Wars beginner game, which you recommended in easy mode. Would a constructive critique of the writing of Keyforge free RPG adventure module work as a show? E.g., what parts are easy to jam? What parts need more prep, suggestions, etc.?
Oh, okay.
I've seen. He says I've seen one criticism that the grand finale is very loose, and having read it and not being an experienced GM, I think I would really struggle with it too. I realize that it might be a lot of work. I'm interested enough to chip in or try to crowdsource if needed some kind of commission for that work. So yeah, when he said that, I thought Grand Theft Auto, because I thought Amber, I thought that one was more open-ended at the end. Maw of Abraxas does have that little paragraph that does mention that you can continue the adventure or with these characters, pre-gens and so forth. Yeah, I think this one doesn't need as much, I think, work. Yes, you do have to sort of do more theater of the mind because it does not include any maps of
That's
locations.
What I was going to get at. That's what I was going to get at next is what resources are provided with the adventure and maps. But I do know something that's in those two that's not in this one. And Stefan, if you want to,
but before we go on to that, I do want to make a comment because you guys commented on reading those 2 adventures. I need to make a comment about Ashes of Power. New GMs will want to read this one 2 or 3 times. Okay. I read it once and I'm like, oh, what? There was a point in it, a main plot point, that I needed to go back and reread to connect a dot.
Right.
Okay. I didn't quite get, and I'm like, well, I got it, but I'm like, well, is there a typo or something? There was, I don't want to give away anything, but it's when you read it, you'll know what I mean, because you're going to need to go back and reread that again and go, well, how do I make this connect point A to point B and get them there?
Gotcha.
Without like hand holding them and getting them there and making it too freaking obvious or whatever. Yeah. And then I must say, yeah. And then, well, not that so much as like I told you in Act 2, it's more of a sandbox.
Right.
Need to get them to the corner of the sandbox.
But you don't want to point at the corner of the sandbox.
But you don't want to dig
What's
up.
over there?
Right. Yeah. Right. and you want the sandbox close enough to the pool that you're in.
That's it.
The shallow end, right? Because that's where
Yeah,
the little
get
kids are.
Get it near the water where
Get
the
it near
cats
the water.
won't poop in it. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
and
Well, that
and
sand
second,
gets everywhere.
right. And the second thing, and granted, I didn't read all the words to the adventure. I went ahead and read it all.
Oh shit! Are we gonna have a Necronomicon situation because you didn't read all the words?
It's definitely an N-word, but no, nickel, right? No, but the finale fight thing encounter is, I would recommend reading it a couple times as a GM and prep. Fuck, this is hard. Having to keep your tread in water here, baby. And you as a GM know your skills, and I will tell you, if you are a seasoned GM, you'll read it once, you'll get it, you're like, no big deal. Not as seasoned GMs will probably want to read it a couple times, might want to prep some things, make notes, prep a couple things, maybe have a set piece ready. No maps in this one. This is my follow-in to your next thing. Resources are available, right? May have a map, may want a map, may have some things out there, just to get it going, to kind of connect the dots for the players' characters, for them to know what to do. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know. It is what it is, but it seems like it would be a really fun conclusion and climax to run. So,
right, yeah. In the Maw of Abraxas, at least, like I said, no maps, but there's lots of little cool images on various pages. One could take little screenshots and crop them to show the players.
Nothing like that in this, but they do have in the expanded section. They do have a map of that you could use. Right. Not going to say of what, but a map you can use.
Fair.
Okay?
Yeah. Oh, fair.
And you may want to create your own for the other places that they may want to go. Just saying.
Yeah, Pinterest can be a great resource for that, maybe. So
I was going to mention that as well, because I did for my looking at this, and I thought, this needs a map. This particular there's a scene in here that needs a map,
Yeah.
And quickly just typed in a brief search in Pinterest, and boom, within 2 seconds I had 3 or 4 different choices of map that I could use for this one scene in the adventure. So it's, especially with Keyforge, you can incorporate any style of map. You don't have to have a fantasy map or a a sci-fi map or a steampunk map. You can have any of those with Keyforge. So
and it'll fit one way or the other.
Exactly. But I did find one particularly that fits the aesthetic of this particular city in the event that the adventure takes place in. That it was it kind of stood right out. It's one of the first choices that showed up on Pinterest. But
right. I'll second that suggestion. Third that suggestion.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Emotion carries.
And as a rule, for newer GMs who are not familiar with, especially if you're not running Genesys a lot, you've got your narrative range bands versus a lot of the resources out there that you find maps. They'll have squares or hexes on them. Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. Engaged is in the very next square or hex.
Yeah.
Short range is 1 to 5 away. Maybe, or 1 to 3 away, and then medium range would be double that. So if you're 1 to 3, then it's be 5 to 6, or it'd be 6 to 10, depending on the size
of the map.
And extend that outward each time, doubling the distance. Keep in mind that long range normally has 2 movements worth of range band. It's a range band that has 2 movement zones in it, long range. So if your medium is 5 squares or whatever, or 5 hexes, then your long range you'll want to be 10. So that you can say, okay, one move will get you here. That's about halfway through the long range zone. Just as
I know when I was running Star Wars, we'd always do the whole, hey, the width of the cantina is short range, the length of it is medium. And then typically I would keep my set pieces to short, medium range. And if you're in like maybe a hangar bay, it's like, hey, from one range to the other, that's long range. Right. If you're outside in the wilderness, that's when you get to the extreme ranges. But as a rule of thumb,
knowing your scale for your adventure and your adventure maps, if you're going to use them, knowing your scale in advance is just flat out a GM tip. No matter what adventure you're going to run, if you're going to use a set piece where you have a map, know the scale of the map, and because your players are going to want to know that right up front.
Yeah, and one thing you are going to be, and if you are using maps, they are, when you lay them down on, say, if you're playing face-to-face, if most of us are playing up. I do. But if you're even online, right, you see a 2-dimensional map. Remember, those maps can be 3-dimensional too, right? I mean, short range could be second story. Medium range could be 2 stories up if you're in a big warehouse, right? True. So keep that in mind too. That adds another dimension to the set piece. Depth. There you go too.
I see what you did there.
You see what we did there. To the whole encounter, and adds flavor to it too. So,
all right. So to get us back on track,
adds more grittiness, more like sand.
Right. So to get us back on track. Choo-choo, Stefan. Do you have any overall or specific to the question that Alexander sent us, GM notes that you'd like to share about this adventure?
About this adventure, since he asked about Maw of Abraxas, just read it if you need to. Yeah, even though it's a simpler maybe scenario than Ashes of Power, read it a couple of times. Just to get a better feel for it, and make notes if you have to, little highlights of certain passages. I mean, the adventure itself is written pretty well with various texts in bold, so you can see definitely which skills and difficulties are suggested. So once you have some ideas on how to run the encounter, you'll be good to go, I think. Get some maps if you need to, if you can think of. You might not need them. Running it, playing it under Keith Capel, he didn't use any maps. We did all Theater of the Mind, and he just brought up a couple of images that he took screenshots of once in a while, like for a Martian walker and other things that happened during the adventure. Spoilers, but that doesn't spoil the plot anyway. But still, a couple of images that were involved in there. You brought it up, so just give us a nice look at what the some of the scenes are, and then the characters themselves. We can go through the pre-gens later, but no, I think straightforward enough. It might depend sometimes on your players. If they like to go off rails or think really outside the box, then you might have to modify your own response if it hasn't been covered in the adventure. But that's like with any adventure. The writers cannot foresee everything that the players might think of or do, and find a different solution to the dilemma or the obstacle, and just go with it. Right. That's the great part about Genesys. Sometimes, like, yes, that'll work. Say yes, and
Yeah, your dice are going to take you in weird directions, and your players can't.
That's it. Even if you say no, but you can make another suggestion. Maybe a certain skill might not be appropriate, but a different way of using the skill, or a slightly different skill, could work.
All right, Homie, how about for Ashes of Power? Do you have any more specific or additional GM tips for a beginner or even an experienced GM to run it?
Yeah, I think for both. Beyond what I had already said, this is most of it is theater of the mind. No maps. So if you need to, think your group needs them, create some. The other thing is there are two extra pre-gens in this expanded content. And like we had said, this adventure starts you off as an introduction to Genesys. So the first skill check is tailored to each of the main pre-gens, right? And gives information for each of them. Now, you could do one of two things here if you want to bring in those extra pre-gens. Either if one of the main ones are swapped out, have in mind what content you'll be given for their skill checks to the extra pre-gens that are being used, or create your own content for those skill checks. Now, there's not a whole lot of information about Twilight Imperium there that you can draw on to help. And the background, there's a little bit of background for each of these pre-gens that you might be able to pull in. And then given the adventure itself, you might be able to. But I'd have something like that ready. Okay. Especially if it's new players as well. The other thing is, and which I touched on as well, is read the adventure a couple times. Even if you're experienced GM, read it a couple times. Understand it, how you want to get from point A to point B to point C, and to get to those corners of the sandbox, in the middle part, right? And like I said, I did have what's called a code smell. That's what I use in my industry. I'm a software engineer, and we use that term, which is a stinky piece of code that kind of, I'm smelling something that isn't quite right, and I need to kind of bring it up. And that's what I was bringing up about that plot point kind of connection that I wasn't quite able to get the first time through. And my group goes left instead of right, which is fine. I do it myself as a player without even knowing it. And, you can have contingencies for some of that. And there are some areas in here where you might be able to prep. So, it could go a long way to prep for that stuff too. And you might have some idea. There might be some ideas in there for you to do. And they do a good job in here about laying out, like I said, a couple different ways that they can solve this encounter. And if you could think of anything else, make notes of it, which is always a good thing.
Right on.
If you wanted. And they have linked they've done something different here called agendas. Each one of the main characters has an agenda, right? And I can't remember whether and I didn't make a note on this, whether the pre-gens they gave the pre-gens agendas as well, but from their background and their they didn't do quote unquote motivations, but from their backgrounds, you could probably pull an agenda out if you want to use them. As a new GM, don't necessarily need to use the agendas if you don't want to, but it does add a layer of intrigue, depth, if you want, to the adventure. The way that they present it is a little metagamey for me, but it's like, for instance, it's like GM should tell this player that they can attempt a certain check, boom, that will then their agenda will be fulfilled. Now, I don't like hand-holding players that way. They should be able to figure this stuff out. But new players, you might want to. It's up to you. But there's that kind of stuff that's in here, which is another layer. So that's another thing you might want to reread and maybe make notes on if you want. So yeah. How about you, Tony?
With Grand Theft Ember, there isn't a lot of GM tips that I would incorporate. One thing that I would, a couple things that I would mention, because there are parts of this adventure where it tells you read this aloud. One of the things that when I first started out GMing and running pre-constructed adventures, and I hadn't really built the ability to speak dramatically as a DM or a GM. Well, one of the things I did was I would take those. Back in the day, I didn't have the ability to do so with a computer, but I would highlight the words that I wanted to emphasis in the read aloud sections. And then over time, that has become a habit of mine that I do. But what I'll do is I'll blow up the text and put it into a Word file, and I will make those parts bold, because a lot of times I catch myself, I paraphrase the read aloud sections, but the key points in the read aloud section that you want to make sure you convey, underline them, bold them, highlight them, make sure that that is in your paraphrasing when you do that.
That's a great point, because I've missed so many times paraphrase, because I run a lot of pre-canned adventures. Right, and then online it's easy in like Fantasy Grounds, especially with the D Shift 7D. I could just hit the little chat bubble, put it, just copies it into the chat.
It dumps it into chat.
It dumps it, people can read. But 9 times out of 10, I'll paraphrase it, and I miss shit. Like, oh, wait a second, I didn't tell you that the big bad guy is standing right in front of you. God damn it!
I didn't
big
tell
bad
you
guy
that the
standing right in front of
building
you.
was on fire that you're trying to rescue
that you're
the baby
trying to
out
run
of.
into. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys need to make like resilience checks. Why? Building's on fire. What?
Yeah, fright check.
What the fuck? Wouldn't that happen? Well, I told you. No, you didn't.
Yeah, now you need me to fear check. Why? Because there's a big demon in front of you. Oh, you didn't mention that. Well, there he is. Baylor. Instant Baylor.
Underline, bold, or highlight your emphasis. All right.
However you need to emphasis it. That's right, man.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, so without giving anything away, this adventure occurs concurrently with a huge event.
Awesome.
And that huge event could be a draw to draw the player characters away from the story. So have in mind notes for yourself, bits of flavored text that you add to the adventure if you're going to run this to describe that other event and make it seem either
like it's in the background,
like it's a background piece, so that they're not so lured away by it that the action is occurring around them.
So it's not like a big juicy red herring out there. Well, look at this. No. That's yummy. Let's go grab it.
Okay. It's a battle.
Oh, okay.
I can reveal that there's a battle going on, and if you have a more combat-oriented character, let's say a Brobnar giant or something, they may want to run over there and start playing smack heads, right?
Fantastic.
If you describe this battle as going on as being part of
stuff going on around you,
yes, and things blowing up, and all
right,
if you keep that descriptive going through the encounters in the game, you'll draw your players into your story more, because you've incorporated that, and they're not drawn as far, they're not drawn to look over here.
Yeah, it's not part of the main mission. They won't think, oh, this is part of it, so we have to do something about it. It's like, it's just happening.
Keep it smart. Don't. Oh, look, there's a bunch of children in a bus.
But if you need to split the party as an evil GM,
yes, a great way is to have a spaceship crash between them.
Yeah.
Or on them. No.
Sweet. So yeah, that's my point to that is that having a couple of notes on how you would further describe that action going on in the background to make it seem like something they don't want to be a part of, or do want to be a part of if you want to branch it out. If you want them to dip their toe into the water of the battle going on, then give them maybe a floaty or two.
I see what you did there, Tony. Maybe give them some water wings. What are those tubes called? Those are special things.
Pool noodles.
Pool noodles. There you go. Give them a noodle. Two.
So, all that being said,
noodle them with it.
That's
the
right.
key
Noodle
part
with it.
to any real good adventure hook, getting players to want to play in one of these pre-constructed adventures, is what? It's the pre-gen characters.
Yeah.
So let's
Absolutely.
do maybe not so much of a. We can share more about these. These don't have to be spoiler free. We can kind of do a little bit of a round on
A round robin kind of thing.
around on the characters. Mind you, if we do that, I'll have extra because this particular adventure has 10 pre-gen characters.
I have
which
6.
are all the protagonists from the stories in the novel.
That's
just so you
cool.
know.
Right.
Well, I have 4 main and 2 in this expanded content. How about you? How about you, Stefan?
I just have 4, but they're
Okay.
pretty. They're,
Okay.
they're nice. They're nice. I enjoyed reading up on each of them myself, and the one
So
I
we
played.
each do one,
pretty
Tony
cool.
does 2, and it will be all right.
Yeah,
Or
we can do
close
that.
to it.
All right. We'll start with Stefan. I know you played one of the characters, so you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. I really enjoyed playing her. I had picked the Saurian scientist / Craniac. That's the career that they call it. Named Tusia. So she's a Saurian scientist. So a lot of her skills based on knowledge, but with a few other little cool skills as well. A bit of combat skill as well. Computers. And of course, my favorite thing about her was that she has a talent called Know It All. This is where I could add up to 4 boost dice on a knowledge skill check.
Oh, no wonder why the fuck you liked her. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Stefan.
But at the cost, I don't even have to ask the GM. I just say I am going to get up to 4 boost dice, but the cost is that I'm inflicting strain to all my allies equal to the number of boost dice I'm getting. Because then, she goes on about, oh yes, do you know that the quantum flux was created by Dr.
Wait.
Going
Holy
on
fuck,
and on
hang on a
about
minute.
that. Yep.
Wait, did I play in this with you?
No,
Because
I
I
don't think so.
vaguely remember you playing a character that got a fuck ton of boost dice and my character getting strained.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I
it
might have
wasn't that.
played this with you.
No.
It wasn't that character.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, I
but
remember
still.
that happening.
Yeah, that was another character with the
And you
same
enjoyed
talent, I
that.
think.
There was that talent used in
That
an
talent.
advantageous
Okay.
threat character.
Oh, you did. That's
Yeah, that was and I
great.
I took that character for one of our advantageous threats. So
That's
so yeah, she goes on a little bit like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. So the properties of a snowy tree cricket is about this and that, and like, oh yes, we know, all right, which was awesome. And and Keith, of course, was able to roll that in as well, and the other character as well. That was my favorite one, of course. That's why I picked her. Her effects were pretty good too. She has an effect with magical amber kind of thing. Tusia's hazard field, which as a maneuver can deplete her amber to activate it for the remainder of the encounter. Whenever someone targets her or one of her allies within short range, add 2 setback dice to their check. It's more like a cloaking field kind of thing. It has on the character sheets, motivations, but they're not separated into the strength, flaw, like the base. It's just a couple of paragraphs on how to play her a little bit, playing in character, her perception, and so forth. And then at the bottom, they have to help new players, symbols, the various narrative dice symbols in the dice and what they mean. So the advantage symbol, the difficulty dice, etc. So players can immediately see what the.
Is there a character portrait also?
Yeah, the character portrait is there, fairly full body kind of thing. It was quite detailed there, and even the weapons. If it says crystalline weapon, then underneath that it says You deal 6 damage on a hit plus 1 damage per uncancelled success. So it explains how damage is applied.
Right. Okay.
So for new characters, some of the details are already there. So that's the first character.
Nice. All right, Chris.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, the first character that I have is Undersecretary Chiliax. He's I don't know, Sasha species. He's a Calaris liaison. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to everybody, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
what the
ability
fuck?
to pronounce things is the best part of it.
Isn't it great? Yeah, I know. I mean, come on now. Chiliax carries an antique Lazax grav mace gifted to him by the Wineran keeper of the Custodian Chronicle. That means everything, right?
It does.
Oh, yeah.
That means a shit ton to me. I don't have a fucking clue what that is. But anyways, that's his, like, there's a motivation that they give here. His agenda, right? His agenda is to be indispensable to this Calaris group. He takes any chance to increase his influence on this agency that he's using. There's 3 bullet points on how you could play this character. Kind of cool.
Nice.
The first one is you're earnest and sincere to a fault and desire to strengthen the Calaris as an institution. Others sometimes find your optimism grating. Oh, that'll be fun to role play. I mean, that's kind of cool. And they got, he's got some talents and abilities here. Proper upbringing is a good one. This gear and equipment are here. Some special qualities on this ancient mace that he has. Looks like there's a command code that he can put in to unlock this, bypass some security. If you're ever in this Lazax, I don't know, facility or whatever, you can make an intelligence check and use it. And like Stefan said, they go into like the 8 damage, it does 8 damage on a hit plus 1 per uncanceled success. Full body picture of this guy. Looks kind of like kind of like a shark. Actually, kind of looks like a space turtle, doesn't he? Yeah, kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, the Zszree, yeah, they're like, turtle-like.
Is that how you pronounce it? The Zszree?
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube who is called, you look for Batteries Not Included, who does quite a few nice videos about the different factions, not game related, but you can still take it from the game, from both the board game and
cool
role playing, and you got lots of good expose about each background, each faction, and then you get an idea of how to pronounce some of these names as well. And the guy's voice is really, really good.
Obviously, I haven't looked at that one yet.
No.
All right.
So, all right. How about you, Tony? What 2 do you have there to share?
I'll tell you right now, first and foremost, these are full character sheets. These are not a character folio like the pre-gens that you guys have. Each of these are full character sheet with the entire Keyforge skill list.
Gotcha.
The weapons breakdown for the individual weapons. It doesn't say you do X amount of damage plus 1 per uncanceled success.
That has a certain of assumptions of knowledge.
Right, but it does have a drill down
level
of
3 knowledge.
Right, it does have a drill down of how many advantage or triumph it takes to do critical. And
quit. Yeah.
You do get full motivations, all 4 motivations for each character, and each character has a 1 paragraph, roughly, background that brings them into the city, Quantum City, which is it's something you want to do if you're running players in their own characters that they make. You'll want them to have a reason to be in Quantum City.
Got it.
Similar to the ones in the pre-gens, or something. They have to be there for a reason. It doesn't have to be as a group. They could be meeting for the first time at the beginning of this adventure. Okay. So that being said, none of these characters are given character art either. So if you want, you can encourage your players to find art for their character if they want to. But So the first one is Vera. Vera is an elf vault warrior, and she's kind of a adventurer, your standard adventurer. She's got a good array of weapons and a good array of skills that put her right there as she's kind of just your Indiana Jones adventurer type character.
Cool. Some badassery to be done.
Vault warrior. She's definitely a warrior class. I mean, she's got all 4 combat skills. So she's a fighter for sure. It does go into, each character has in their gear, they have bits of gear that augment some of your skills. So you'll want to, it's not built into the skill. So you'll want to make sure if you're looking at the character to make sure you find those. And then each one of these only has a couple of talents. There's no talent tree. They have 2 to 3 talents, kept them real simple. Most of the XP spent on them was spent in raising skills. That's pretty much it for her. She's a pretty straightforward character. Second character is Roslyn, or Roz, who is a human engineer. Engineer, mechanic, has pretty standard laid out motivations for a mechanic. They have a companion, I think, a robot, family robot that they are there to fix, and it's an interesting. This is an interesting character. It's got a nice background with very simple, straightforward mechanic-like motivations. Again, but knack for it mechanics. I mean, can't go wrong with that.
Got it.
And talk shop, which I think is a great talent for a mechanic. When making a charm check targeting other engineers, you count your ranks in charm as equal to your mechanics roll. So
awesome.
That's
shop. That's
talk
great.
Shop. That is a great talent for any engineer.
That's so flavorful too, man.
Yeah. But simple. That now, I will say this: that the character's notable features and description does give you a good idea of what they look like.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need art. But that's cool. 2 of them. Now, I do want to preamble one last thing. This adventure came out. I don't know if they fully spell checked it or whatnot, but for each one of these pre-gens, maybe they insist that the players change their names at the table, but they have the player names from the play testers on the character sheets. Still, it's not left blank. But I don't know if you want, when you set your group down, you're going to be Tristan. Your name's not Joe anymore. You're Tristan. I don't know.
That's funny.
So
that's pretty good.
Anyhow, that's those 2. Stefan, what about you? Another one?
Yep. The second one is a human discoverer named Quell. She's pretty brawny. She's could be one of the fighters, a bit of the group. Explorer kind of thing, pretty brawny. They mentioned that she doesn't have any talents, but she has mutations. One mutation is that allows her to climb more easily. The other one about quick reflexes, giving a boost dice to initiatives. Playing this character, the motivations, she's a thrill seeker. So she likes to get into danger. Exposure to Ember subtly mutated her. She says, you're tough enough to hold your own alongside giants. You would readily throw yourself in front of danger to protect your friends. And her prized possession, I love her gear. She's got a zoom claw. Basically, it's a big rifle with a grappling hook. It can be used as a normal rifle, doing the damage, but also adding a boost die to athletics or coordination checks to climb, jump, or swing across different things, using it as a grapple gun, or pulling targets to her come over here. You're not escaping me. So she reels them back in. and even spending an ember with her jet propelled to stagger an opponent as well, which is pretty cool that way. That's fairly straightforward. But, the good illustration of a brawny woman with like hide armor, definitely well worn.
Okay.
So yeah, that's her. Yep.
Cool. Well, I have my next character here that I want to share with you is a human orbital drop soldier named Major Jana Pradhan. She is a Soul veteran soldier, Soul Federation veteran. She don't like the L1Z1X folks because she lost a leg and most of her comrades in one of her last battles, and she's going to be refused to be defeated again. So a little bit of revenge in her blood here. So pretty cool. Neat picture of her. She I don't want to run up against this chick for sure. No way. No way. Now, GMs here, you will want to look at her Grazier carbine here because there's an unstable power supply, and if she generates a couple of threat, it'll run out of ammo. So you will want to potentially read some of these pre-gens, make notes, those kinds of things. On some of these weapons, that's kind of a neat little details in this here. She has one of my favorite talents here, coordinated assault. This is nice. As maneuver, you can have a couple of allies engage with you at an advantage to all their checks they make. So she's one of those leaders in battle here. So yeah, pretty cool.
Nice.
What you got, dude? What you got, Tony? You're next too. You have your plethora of regions there.
Well, and I'll keep it simple on this one. Nalai is a Crixix discoverer, very much like the discoverer that Stefan had. Pretty simple, straightforward list of skills. Crucible knowledge is a key one that a lot of the players or a lot of the characters don't have. So it's good that this is one of the characters that does. Of course, the Crixix are the four-armed species that are make up one of the key races of Quantum City. So this character is actually a really kind of a linchpin character. I would encourage, if you're going to have anyone running the pre-gens, I would encourage one of your players to play this one. This one is like a key one for the adventure. Gives them city knowledge, gives them knowledge about the Star Alliance faction and whatnot. And again, all around good character. Cool. Next one is Arash, who is Arash is a human trader. They are definitely going to be one of your social characters. They thrive in social situations, and they have just a plethora of the social skills, including ones they aren't even trained in, but they've got talent. They've got talent that helps them there. So, and of course, with a human, the ready for anything ability always comes in handy. So there's several humans in this. If everybody in your group ends up playing all the humans, you as a GM, keep in mind you'll never have story points. All right, Stefan, your third character.
My third character is pretty cool. One of those Sanctum Knights energy beings. So a suit of armor held by matrix of energy. But his name is Errant. He's kind of a fallen knight errant of the Sanctum faction. But he doesn't want to talk about what led to his fall. But he's pretty cool. Cool illustration. His main motivation is atonement. So he still holds true to the ideals of Sanctum. He's a formidable warrior. He's got his sword, his sort of energy sword, is sentient. It's called Vizier. It does, it's a pretty powerful weapon. Crit 2, Pierce 2, and gives him a boost die when attacking with it. And his armor can allow him to fly when he spends some ember, so he can fly for the rest of the encounter. With some interesting talents, like he can be a good combat with parry, inspiring rhetoric. So he tries to not always use his sword if he doesn't have to. Only when reason and discourse fail. So that's why the inspiring rhetoric can help. And he's a surgeon, so he can be the group healer as well when needed. So his career is arbitrator. So he can be a little bit of a social character when needed.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, yeah.
Oh, what about you, Chris?
All right. Well, my next character here is the intellect of the group. They, so special pronoun here for them, is doctoral candidate Tiore, a Hylar field scholar. Their agenda here is to acquire all data and samples that they can on these archaic technologies and whatever this group of the Kalaris encounter. This special group that they're now a part of will encounter. They do use a pressurized plasma cutter that is beyond factory specs, that they'll be getting a setback die every time they use it. They are also in a exosuit in a little pod that kind of moves them around a bit, which is kind of cool, little spider thing here. Neat picture, I must say, very evocative of this character, which definitely takes you from we're not playing a fantasy game anymore, folks. This is sci-fi shit. And we're not we're not quite in Keyforge, though we could. Kind of almost picture, if there wasn't quite an image inside of this thing, Tony, this could be a good picture of your Keyforge character, potentially. I don't know if you're looking at it right now.
Yeah,
but damn, with a little bit of Photoshop, you could maybe create it. Anyway, and again, there are 3 bullet points on how you can play this character. Pretty cool. Oh, and another neat talent here is the vast intellect one. Once per session, spend a story point as an incidental before making a skill check and count your ranks in the skill being equal to your intellect, which is 4, which is fucking huge.
Whoosh.
Once per session, but still. I mean, it's no 4 boost dice and making everybody around you kind of listen to what you're going on about, but still, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
But okay, now think about it.
Yeah.
You choose wisely. You choose that you're doing a intellect-based skill. You now have 4 yellow dice in that.
Yeah, playa. Definitely. You do.
That's nice.
You do.
And just before I forget, I did include in the show notes the link for the YouTube channel I mentioned. Batteries not required. That's what it's called.
Okay,
gotcha.
Cool. Yeah, we'll throw that in the show notes for y'all.
Yep.
For sure. All right, Tony, what you got? What are your next 2?
Next 2. Okay, so we have Nalia, another elf. This one is an elf rogue. Is 100% all roguish. Got a neat little weapon. She's got the Sleep O-Zap pistol.
Is that what it's called?
Sleep O-Zap. Yeah.
Nice. I wonder what that does.
Yeah, it's for putting those guards to sleep, This character is a member of the Shadows faction, which kind of gets into that, learning about the different factions in Keyforge. And they have a faction-specific talent. Well, it's not a faction-specific talent, but it's one that you can take, and then it applies to a specific faction.
Okay.
It's called One of Us. So as long as you act according to its interests, you add a boost die to all social checks targeting members of the Shadows organization. It's a nice little elf. And then the next one is a Teryx. Teryx is a Phill Mender. Phill, that's Phyll. The Phill are your amoeba turned sentient race type race. They are one of the core races from the Keyforge book. They or are they a plant? I think they're actually a sentient plant. Yeah, they have tendrils to interact with their environment. They're sentient plants. And as a mender, he's basically a druid. He's a plant druid. Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
This is one of your characters
that
will. Yeah, this is one of your characters that will be a challenge to play for some players. So players who like to heal and like to be nature oriented, this is the perfect character for them. But for people who don't want to play a sentient plant and certainly aren't all about the healing, this character is a mender. He's all about healing things, fixing everything, healing everything.
That's great.
Anyhow,
nice.
Cool.
Next, Stefan.
Cool. Yeah, my next and last character is also a mender. He's an elf named Corey, but he specializes a bit more on mending technology. So he's got two little fairies that he repaired and reprogrammed to help him out, called Babel and Brook. So they can go around helping him, even though they don't talk, they understand him. And he values safety. He wants to be able to be safe and make other people safe from these would-be conquerors and destroyers, quote unquote. So his greatest asset, is his friendship with his two little fairies. Can help him out, repairing and repurposing and disassembling technology is his forte. And he's a caregiver at heart. So his main weapons are throwing knives. Some of his talents are pretty cool like fairy finesse. The fairies basically give him 2 boost dice whenever making mechanics or skullduggery checks. Distraction, making an average deception or a skullduggery check, and then for each success, one adversary of his choice adds a setback to their next check. It's like, look at that over there. And one of the effects with Amber that you can use is Fairy Restoration. So once per encounter, deplete his effect to use it to heal all wounds one character within short range has suffered.
Wow. That's cool.
Yep. So that's the Mender final character.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Well, my final main character that was included in the main adventure is Syndra of Brass Dunes. She is a Hakan wayfarer. Now the Hakan, the Hakan, whatever, tomato, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hakan tomatoes.
Hakan tomatoes. They are the like the lion folk looking people. Now her background is pretty interesting. Now the way they I didn't explain this earlier, but they do have like a paragraph. Their motivation is like a paragraph of kind of their background, which describes, and you can kind of pull out like a motivation from that. Then they each have an agenda.
Same thing in the mall. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And so with her, she's pretty cool. She's a merchant captain with early training as a naval intelligence officer. However, her merchant clan was bankrupted when her great uncle's trade fleet was captured by pirates, and all of her clan's debts were assumed by the emir of her Kant. Don't know what the fuck that is. But there was a condition that she needed to go join this group of the Calaris to be one of these, to work for the council, the Galaxy Council, to go do shit. And her agenda is to restore her family's fortune. So she's a negotiator, she's a pilot, she's a, kind of a gunslinger in a way, but I love this freaking talent. No, not a scoundrel. No, she's like, I love this talent called gunslinger diplomacy. If your character is armed, as a maneuver, they may use this talent to conspicuously display their weapon and add 2 successes and a threat to the results of the next social check they make this turn. This may have additional repercussions at your GM's discretion. Fucking
that talent is getting added to Zszree. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say that. That's the talent to Zszree.
I mean, come on.
Especially with her 2 pearl-handled death bone pearl-handled guns.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that talent alone will get me back into. I want to run Twilight Imperium.
And I want to play a space Khajiit. I'm sorry, but no. That's what the Hakan is here. He was a trader. Their family has all kinds of debts. They're Khajiit. They're Khajiit.
Yeah,
Khajiit will follow.
It's pretty good. I mean, and if there was a character that would actually have a little bit of spotlight in this adventure in the middle act, could be this one. Just to say, there's that corner of that sandbox that she could, the kitty litter box. I'm sorry, that was bad. Yeah. Now we moved to the kitty litter box. That was bad. That was horrible.
Hey, neighborhood cats like to use the kids' sandbox,
You know it.
It makes sense.
All right, good, Tony. What you got, man?
All right, so the next 2 characters are a pair of arbitrators. They're both the same class.
Okay.
They are also a pair of characters to be played together.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They are. They mention each other in each other's bios.
Okay, cool.
First one is Wibble. Wibble is a leucomorph. Now, leucomorph are not one of the core book races. This is one that was made.
Okay.
And let me just describe. It is leucomorph is amorphous, organic, tiny bit of blobby looking thing, slightly translucent and shines with ever changing display of lights. Its weapons is a telekinetic punch. This one has a lot of talents, enough so that it can get around. It's got your telekinesis, it's got pseudopods, it's got hover, it's got echolocation and silent communication. A whole bunch of ones that an amorphous creature would need to actually function as a player character.
Right.
And it is paired up with Plims. Plims is the next arbitrator here, and now arbitrators are social characters, but they do have a little bit of adventurer in them, in that they're vigilant and they have ranged weapons. Plims is a roborg, so that's a robot / cyborg. Plims is they're up. Here's the thing. As a part of the great Wibble and Plims investigators for hire duo. Okay, that's what they describe each other as. Wibble and Plims. This would be a great pair of characters for 2 people. If you have 2 people who sit at your table that almost always play well off each other, I'm not going to name any names, me and homie.
What? No. Never done that before.
Yeah, President Tony.
the big characters that play off each other. This would be a duo for those two players to play.
Okay.
Okay, Chris, your fifth one.
My fifth one is a Caleris investigator, Zszree. His name is Carrick Uncharik. These folks, I believe, are an avian race. He is a member of what's called the Argent Flight, and they've failed, buddy. The Argent Flight is an ancient order that has been established to protect the galaxy from the Macht gene sorcerers. That'll be. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, come on. The Macht, whatever. The Macht.
That's why I want you to run Twilight Imperium, just to hear your pronunciation of all of the different races and cultures.
That's right. Now the Argent Flight has failed, and the galaxy is threatened by the ancient evil return. So this character is now been sent to this Caleris group. He's desired to basically sent to guide this new group. And he's been known to kind of get the job done at any cost. He's a leader type fighter. Got an interesting, an interesting weapon here called a needle bow. With a quantum quiver, you do not run out of standard arrows. When you perform a successful combat check, you may spend 2 advantage to hit 1 additional character engaged with the target for the same amount of damage. What? Fucking A, man. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they had lots
talent
of
here.
Technology.
Yeah, there's a talent here called Avian Agility. Once per session, when making a skill check that uses your agility characteristic, you spend a story point to add 2 success and 2 advantage to results. It's kind of cool. Flavorful as hell. I like it. So that's a neat character. Cool art, too, for this. That's a kick-ass looking bird, man.
Yeah, those races were supposed in the Twilight Imperium story, these guys were supposed to, the Argent Flight was supposed to keep watch and prevent the return of the gene sorcerers, the Macht, because they were the original rulers of the entire galaxy, even before the last act.
Okay. Yeah. So this is one of the extended characters in the expanded section. So this is one of the extra ones that you may have to create your own skill for at that, like I described, like the first part of this adventure. Each one of the main characters has a skill check that they make, and then they'll get information if they succeed. This is one of them that you'll have to futz with. So, right, Tony. I have one more left, but go ahead.
One of my last two.
Okay.
So Barip is a Martian elder. He is a craniac. He is a scientist.
Right.
He's he's a up and coming geneticist in the Martian military. Genetic exploitationist. He has the one of us talent when it pertains to Mars faction. And he also has this racial ability that the Martian elders have, which is it's called all part of my scheme. Once per session, when you make a check, you may spend a story point to add 2 proficiency die and a challenge die to the check.
What? Awesome.
That's add. So if this guy is making, say, a knowledge science roll, he already has 3 yellow and a green. Now he's going to add 2 more yellow and a red to that. And then you must explain how that check is essential to your latest convoluted plot. Fun
falling
little
into
Martian.
place.
Fun little Martian. Wow, dude. That's great. That is
your
great.
last one.
My last one is a Titan species, a trail stalker, specifically a career, called, Heliopine. Yeah. Whatever.
Heliopian?
Sure. Piliopian? Yeah, that one.
One of those.
They are this species is an awakened biomechanical, basically cyborgish type creature.
Mhm. Yeah.
They've been asleep for thousands of years, and they awoke when the Mahat returned. The Mahat has, and basically her motivation, her agenda is to seek out those lost sleepers of her own kind. So kind of a neat character, to be honest with you. Definitely a fighter. Lot of physical characteristics. I mean, a 4 brawn. I mean,
Yeah.
3 intelligence, which is good, right? Got energized fists, a shock field, for like a ranged attack here. And she's 3 meters tall. Silhouette 2.
Yeah, that's
And
on the
might
small
not
scale.
And might not fit into tight spaces at the GM's discretion. Yeah, this is small for a Titan, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
some Titans are so
Yeah.
old, they're like the size of Celestials in Marvel,
Okay. So combined arms. Now this is interesting because this is an interest. So when your character is engaged with an enemy, your GM or fellow players may not spend a despair to cause your character to be hit by an ally's ranged attack. That's cool. Like she's there to just could be there to just kind of, I could like block it or take the hit or whatever. That's cool. Cool little talent here.
Yep.
But yeah, pretty cool. That's my character there. Get all my characters. What you got there, Tony? Last one? Certainly not least, probably.
The last one is certainly not least. No, this is Paul Hendry, the human performer.
Uh-oh.
You would think, a bard. Oh, no. No. He is a cab driver who moonlights as a LARPer.
Fucking
and
awesome.
His passion for LARPing has almost gotten him fired from his air cab driving job. That's pretty much, this guy is... He's a performer, and he likes to recreate famous battles. And one of the things he might find interesting is this adventure that's going on around him. So that's why he's a part of it.
Nice. That's cool.
He's got a nice talent here. One that I'm not going to say too much about, but distraction. With an exclamation point. From the core rulebook, you make an average deception check, and for each success you generate, one adversary of your choice within short range suffers 2 strain. For each triumph, you can make them suffer 4 strain instead. And this strain ignores soak. So basically, he can just start acting out a famous battle in the middle of combat. He's a distraction to people. So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Is he a LARPer or is he like a Civil War enthusiast type? But it's Crucible.
I'd say yes to all of the above.
Interesting character for sure.
Interesting characters, period, for all of these. Very very cool.
Yeah, and that's why we highlighted them, folks, because these are what really kind of give the adventure flavor. And your players out there, we had to have something for you as players. Well, what do I want to? If I ever want to play in that, I want to play that guy.
Yep.
But at the end,
so
of the day,
is there one of all of these that you guys would want to play?
Oh, definitely. I want to play that cat. I want to play the Hakan gunslinger chick.
Okay. Cool. All right. How about you? Yeah. That's pretty sweet. How about you there, Stefan?
Oh, there's all kinds of possibilities. I mean,
I know
depending on-
there's like 10 from Tony, 4.
Yeah,
There's
geez,
20.
there's just
Pick
so many.
one. Pick one, fucker. That's what I'm asking.
All right, I'll play that Zszree bird people there.
Birdman. Oh, out of
Yeah.
all 20, you're gonna play that. You know, I'm playing a fucking cab driver LARPer, baby. I don't care.
Go ahead.
That'd be great.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our Books of Genesis segment this time.
Yep.
There's links going to be in the show notes for all these adventures plus lesser evils. But I hope, Alexander, that we answered your question and entertained you as well. If not, too bad. We don't get paid for this.
Well, I mean, you get what you pay for, right?
Well, so, I hope you got entertained at least. So.
But we've got some dice to roll, and we've got another segment to go to. So let's get on over to Advantageous Threats.
Yep, we'll be right back. All right, welcome to our favorite segment called Advantageous Threats. It's been a while since we played this or did this one. This is where we build, roll, and narrate some dice results on some sample skill checks for all of our entertainment and yours. And this time, Chris will run Tony and I in a short little scenario using characters we created using the Create a Unique Species section of Keyforge, page 37. And we did that in our episode 66, totally random episode.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, take it away, Chris.
All right. Well, I'll set up the scenario. I have you guys introduce your two characters here. So the scenario is that Sylar, my Serpentium, the character that I made, traitor, has given you a lead on a your character is a lead on a merchant, a Saurian merchant named Zszree, who has a dimensional satchel for sale that he's acquired. Pretty rare thing that you guys need to get your hands on this damn thing, because you're going to go harvest amber and you need to carry the shit. However, you're a little short of the ambits to pay for it. It's cost $3,500. You guys got about 3,000, so you got to talk this guy down a bit.
Right.
And yeah, so who do we have here that's going to be negotiating, going to be trying to do this stuff, and who you playing?
I am playing Curzon. Sorry, Curzon, a Hemiptharan race, a vault warrior as a career. So the Hemiptharan are large insectoid humanoid beings, silhouette too. So he's like 10 feet tall.
Nice.
With tentacles for arms, but with an elegant bearing. Have the ability to fly and climbs surfaces, shears surfaces easily.
Right.
Their main sense is olfactory, so they don't care about darkness, but any other strong smell might confuse them.
Right, and they kind of give a new term, a new sense of the meaning of the phrase "who smelt it dealt it."
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They kind of stank, right?
Yeah, but they own it. It's part of their heritage. Oh yeah,
he proudly owns it. Okay.
Oh yeah, they have an elegant bearing. It's like, yeah, you can't handle the stink. Get out of the barn.
Awesome. Okay. Now,
so of course this stinkiness is a bit hard on other sentients. It gives them a setback on charms and stealth, but a boost on coercion checks,
which would be totally perfect for this social encounter that we're going to be doing. All right.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
How about you?
He's a vault warrior, so used to to fighting for for Archons.
Oh, he's used to social encounters being round 0.
Well, yeah. As General Kenobi said, the negotiations were short.
Aggressive negotiation.
Aggressive.
All right, Tony, who you got for us?
I am playing Ilgax the Sly.
Hmm.
Ilgax is a.
We've heard of Ilgax before, right? I mean,
Yes.
come on, him and Siler have been on adventures.
Ilgax is a Thulian. The Thulians are a race of amorphous, incorporeal green clouds that are filled with black veins. He glows out to short range.
Yeah, of course he does.
He has his glow about him, yes.
That kind of flickers with his speech, which is all telepathic.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's kind of cool. Now there's kind of a change from the last time we saw him, correct? As
Yes.
in what he might be maneuvering.
So the last time
in.
he had taken on the form or had been using telekinesis to pilot a dwarf's corpse previously.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
However, now he has built himself a bathysphere, a steampunk bathysphere, kind of that he floats around in. It's got tentacles that it drops to the ground that it kind of moves around.
Walks on. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's also got anti-gravity, so the tentacles are just for show.
And hovering. A hovering snow globe, greenish, weird fucking snow globe. Kind of.
Well, no, it's not a snow globe. It's a bathysphere, which means bathysphere is this big metal sphere, and it's got those little
little
submarine portholes.
Oh, right.
On the side of it.
Like
a
diving heart.
Those submarine portholes glows an eerie green light that is him inside.
Awesome.
So he has the tentacle manipulator arms that he can use. Yep. Which is why he has the wall crawler talent, which allows him to use those tentacles to crawl up and along vertical surfaces.
Okay.
And uses telekinesis to pilot the thing. It also has the brainwave interface, which allows him to interact with the thing without having to touch any of it. So he's just floating inside of it, piloting it with his mind.
Oh, that's great. Now, that's fantastic. Okay, so let's jump into the quote unquote action, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, you've found this guy's kiosk, maybe, if you will. We'll say that there's a kiosk someplace in a marketplace out there in the Keyforge, in the Crucible somewhere. And though you can use something other. This is a social encounter, so even though your objective is to negotiate, you're wanting to talk him down to lower his price, which you would think is typically negotiation, which you'd want to do. I'm going to let you guys charm him, whatever you want to do. Just have to, get him down.
Let me approach him first.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Dang it, easy.
All right. Do we need to roll initiative or do we go before?
No. We'll just have you guys go. Then I'll make a social check and target one of you guys. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll just.
So we see his kiosk, right? And it's like this,
he's out there.
It's like in a bazaar, but it's kind of tucked into like an alleyway or something.
Something like that. He's a merchant. He's one of the Saurians are those reptile-y merchant dudes, right? So that's how Siler knows him, and so he's got. This isn't a black market item. It's just a very rare one. These dimensional satchels are fairly rare. So yeah, he's out there. He's kind of on the edge of the market, if you will. So sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to approach him ominously from above, walking along I don't know what this bazaar got for like a ceiling. Is it like a tent?
I don't know. What is it?
Like-
At first I was thinking that it's kind of an open square almost, kind of
But there's
tense.
it's like in a desert type environment, but there's like these this
There's
tent
banners
canvas overlap kind of shading people from the sun.
Yeah,
Right.
why not?
Banners
So
and-
Why
I'll be
not?
crawling amongst the rooftop for that as I approach down, and I just lower myself down ominously on his counter.
Okay.
I'm going to be using my distraction talent right from the get-go
Okay.
to just
what does that do?
unsettle him. Okay, so
All right.
distraction.
That's cool.
Character uses this talent to make an average coordination, deception, or skullduggery check. And for each success I generate, I inflict strain.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's exactly. Yeah, that's
I'm
what
not
social
actually
encounter.
talking. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
posturing to
Yeah,
start.
social encounter, baby. That's what it's all about. You want to hit him in the strain bucket, but since he's a rival, he's he's gonna be hit with wounds. So you're gonna hit. It's gonna cut more.
So
Go for it.
in this case, I'm using deception, because it's a social encounter and that's a great skill to start with. Or should I use something else?
Deception is fine. I mean, if it
Okay.
calls for deception to
All
kind of get there and just kind of hit it off, sure.
Right, so the
Let's see.
difficulty
What
it says is average, but
yeah, and let me see. With this, I'm thinking. Let me just see, because it is. I guess social encounters are typically opposed, right? We kind of want to do opposed checks, maybe.
yeah.
On it.
But
Let's
it's talent.
just
It says it's specifically deception, and I
Do
haven't
it.
actually
Just do
started
it.
socially interacting with him.
just do it. Yeah, do an average check there, then, and
All right.
and I'll give you a boost die for your creepiness, just because. I mean, we spent so much time creating these characters and randomness
Yeah.
of it, and you're just creepy as fuck. Kind of, just a glowing goo ball of whatever, Cool.
All right. Are you going to spend any of your GM story points? Because I'm going to roll it as is.
Oh shit, that's right. I got to keep track of that. I got to actually do some DM stuff, don't I? No, go ahead. So 2 on your side, 1 on my side. Okay. Nope, I'm good. Are you?
Okay. Here goes.
You going to? No,
No, he's not.
Sorry, what?
you weren't going to. No.
No.
Okay.
I am not.
So we're still at 2 and 1. Okay, go.
So I failed. I failed with 4 advantage and a triumph.
4 advantage and a triumph. Okay, well, because this is a social encounter, take a strain.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, we'll
Failed check.
We'll
I take straight.
fail check.
Yes.
You'll take a strain. What do you want to do with your advantage and triumph? I mean, you've unsettled him, not to the point where he's going to take strain. However, well, maybe.
Well,
maybe.
First
I mean-
of all, I'm going to go ahead and take this hit. I'm going to give myself just a pair of boost die that I can use on my next check with my 2 advantage. And what those are is I'm going to have like an opener kind of statement that will incorporate my
You know what?
my weird movement.
I'll
But-
do one for you. I'll do one better for you here. If you would like to spend a couple of advantage to learn his strength, because you were sneaking up on him, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
flaw.
Yeah, I'll spend 2 advantage to do that. I'll just spend the other 2 to give myself a boost die for the next roll. But go ahead.
You as you're kind of sneaking up on him a little bit, you kind of get the impression that he's off to the side, and he's and as you're making it your way to him, he's couple of thugs get to him. He just kind of looks at him and he shakes his head, and they kind of move away, right? And he's got this countenance about him that he's a bit like he's like pretty independent, right? Like he's kind of on his own. He's off to the side of the bazaar. He's doing it himself, by himself, but people aren't necessarily messing with him too much. And that's a strength where you could get a boost die for the encounter. I think if you learn a strength as you're getting in there, coming up, he's not seeing it, and he's kind of showing that to you.
I got it.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
and then I'll throw myself a boost die just for my opening statement in the social encounter. Now for my triumph,
Yes.
I would like to pass that to Stefan in the means of I'm going to be
Curzon?
upgrading. Yeah, sorry, I forgot your character's name. It's
okay.
Curzon. I'd like to pass that to Curzon in that he's definitely the preferred person that the merchant would rather be dealing with. So give him a free upgrade.
Right.
Nice. Your character's name was what again, Tony?
Ilgax the Sly. I'm a
Ilgax. Ilgax.
All
right, Curzon. So yeah, you see Ilgax just kind of drop down right next to this guy, and he kind of takes a notice of him.
Right. So we had agreed that he would come in from up above, and I would just walk in the bazaar, using up all the space I can.
Obviously,
making people move around me or part ways with the scythe. With the scythe, in prominently displayed as he's walking along, daring anyone to stop him.
All right.
As he's looking for this guy's.
You definitely see it. I mean, you see it.
Zux. So of course, seeing his friend there hover down.
Uh-huh.
All right. You know why we are here? We want the haversack.
Oh, it's called many things, but haven't heard the haversack in a long time. It hasn't called that in years.
Whatever the name, we want it. We have the money here. We have enough money to cover most of your expenses and not all your inflated additional frivolous overhead. You will agree to our terms and we will be on our way. Of a course of
3,500 ambits.
3,000 will be enough. And you can keep your nice shiny stall undamaged.
So I'm guessing it's not charm.
That depends on.
Add a boost out of this coercion check.
Right.
You're making.
So a green and a yellow and a boost dice. All right. So coercion is against his discipline,
which is based on willpower, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
Okay. Why don't you put three red on that pool?
All right. I will spend a story point to upgrade. So 2 yellow.
Okay. I have enough red in that pool. I don't need to.
All right. And I do get a boost die for my coercion checks because I'm stinky.
Yes, you do.
I do.
And you do.
Yep.
You
All right.
sure
So,
do.
All right. So 2 yellow, 2 blue, 3 red. I'm done. Are you okay with it?
I'm okay with that. Oh yeah.
All right. Let's go. Ready. Let's see here. Yeah, sorry, I just have to
Count.
I'd be doing a drum
count
roll
real
if you
quick.
could.
Yeah.
Real dice. Everybody.
Yep, real dice. So I have to eliminate. I fail, but with 2 advantage.
God. You guys are good at this game. No. Okay, so you take 1 strain. because you
Yep.
failed a social check. And to advantage, what would you like to do with that?
Well, he is menacing and looming up above, so he will pass along a boost die to his ally.
Okay. For his next check. Okay. Yeah. So, a couple of you show up, kind of throw this guy off a little bit. And
as a maneuver, I kind of do a twist on one of my talents. Instead of an inspiring cry, since I worked with was this your name, your character's name, Tony? Ilgax.
Ilgax.
A variation with what I've said already, and just the chittering that I do. It allows my allies within medium range to reroll any number of boost dice when they make a check until the end of the following round.
Cool. I like it.
So unnerving chittering, like a cricket kind of thing, but deeper and much more in your face.
And so Zusk here says, why not? I mean, the way we normally negotiate is with coin, the ambits, not. Oh, I mean, I need to. It costs me money. I mean, you stepped on my. Come on, you almost broke that there, and he's getting whatever that is all over my. I gotta clean. It's gonna cost me time, cost me money. That's why so negotiation check.
Right.
And it's gonna be against you.
There's two of us here.
Sorry,
That's
it'll
you.
be Curzon. Yeah.
Okay.
And
my negotiation of
negotiation.
2 purple.
2 purple. Awesome. I'm gonna upgrade this. Spend a point to add. So that'll be 3 yellow and a green for me.
Okay. I'll spend a story point too.
Alrighty. Maybe you could generate some.
Okay. I'm used to. I'm more used to battlefield negotiations.
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna give him a setback die because you stanky. And that just throws everybody off. Come on, man. It's what you rolled up for this guy. We got to pull it in here. He's trying to, talk here, and it's just throwing him off just a little bit. But it seems like he's going to be pretty firm with the 3,500. Hasn't gone up yet with the price. But he did succeed. 3 successes, 2 threat though. Okay. So you're gonna take 3 strain.
All right.
Actually 4, because he's a seasoned negotiator.
Right.
Whenever he's inflicting strain as part of a negotiation check, he inflicts an additional strain.
Right, fair enough.
And the 2 threat, you could
let's see. 2 threats.
You could give me another boost. You could give me another setback die on this. You could
reveal one of his strength or flaw.
You could learn his flaw if you want.
Yep.
He
reveals one of his flaw.
He takes a lot of pride in his shop, what he has set up here. I mean, he's clean. He's got nice and clean. You've kicked dirt. He doesn't know how long it's going to take to get this stink out. And then he says that.
Right.
He's like, come on, man. This is going to hold whatever that is you're giving off.
Yeah. So I put some emphasis as I reply to him. Like, yes, I know you've put a lot of pride and effort into this little endeavor. And I look at Ilgax.
All right. So
pass that knowledge along to him.
Pulsating with energy as I communicate with them mind to mind.
Oh, that's cool.
My mind to your mind.
I'm going to open up with, as you can see, I am an embercrafter of some talent. Enjoy my creation, my bathysphere. I take pride in its beauty and construction, much as you are an independent creator of your own destiny. We must help each other. A discount as a friend of Sylar.
Name dropping. All right, he dropped the name. I wasn't wondering who was going to do that. That's definitely a boost die. Pulled on his strength of independence, which is another boost die.
All right, so this is negotiation.
Okay.
With the boost die that I passed myself for my opener, because my opener was the mind to mind. You know, it was just all of a sudden this proper sounding, booming voice from the glowing orb in front of him. Then the boost die that I get for knowing his independent streak.
Yep. Boost die.
Boost die I get from
name dropping Sylar.
Name dropping Sylar, and the boost die I get from Stefan.
From the intimidation. He's still kind of set off a little bit, shaking up difficulty.
So I have 4 boost die and a yellow right
Stefan,
now.
did you remember to and add three red in there for his negotiation of 3.
Okay.
Stefan, do you have did you remember to upgrade your check for Tony's triumph that he gave you?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. Because if you forgot, I'm going to say, Tony, go ahead and upgrade yours anyway, but for free.
No.
If you didn't.
No.
Okay.
I did. Thank you.
Let's see here.
I am spending a player story point as well to add a green die.
And remember that you can, and that you can re-roll any amount
of my
boost
4
dice.
Boost dice.
Yep, if you wish to.
That sounds good. You know what? I'm going to spend one as well to keep you guys with one in your pool because
stuff.
Even though you mentioned Sylar, you know, though it's like, okay. They might not be friends.
Right on. Right. So I'm looking at a yellow, a green, 4 boost die, a purple, 3 purple, or 3 red and purple.
Looks good, man. Feels good, I think.
All right, so I will be re-rolling.
All of them? No.
No, I can re-roll up to a 4 of my boost dice. I'll be re-rolling 1 boost die.
All right.
Yeah, you decide.
So as of right now, it is a wash. So let's get that going. And so that just gives me a net 2 advantage, 0 successes. So a second failed check for me. But for this, I'd like the boost die to be out of hell with it. I'd like the 2 advantage that he's so distracted by me being in his head, that he doesn't see what I'm going to do next as well. Maybe doesn't see it as well. He'll have a setback die on his perception check, or I'll get a boost die on one.
You'll get a boost die on your next check. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
One or the other, depending on how it rolls out.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right,
so he's not quite convinced about, so though he appreciates, so it seems like, he appreciates the construction that, you built your own tank, right? You don't necessarily have anything to, that's great, but my shit's not broken yet. Maybe. We'll see, right? Stefan, what is Curzan gonna do? Break shit?
Yeah, well, you did mention that there were maybe a couple of guards nearby.
I said nothing of the sort.
It's a couple of thugs.
I thought there were thugs.
Oh, thugs. Yeah, there were thugs. There were some thugs that had come over to his, that were kind of coming near him, and he kind of looked at the thugs and kind of shook his head, and they kind of went off as if, like he noticed them or wasn't sure what that was all about. Like,
okay. I'm thinking maybe doing causing some kind of distraction for my friend Ilgax. Just turning. What are you looking at? You want to fight? You think you can handle my scythe? You want this?
Now is
Come
this?
and take it.
Now I don't feel like this deserves a check. I mean, do you want to give him like a free boost die or maybe an upgrade or what? Or do you want to make a check for this? I mean, I don't know if you just want to kind of help him out.
Yeah, just come to help him out as challenging these guys to a fight or seeing if they want to fight.
So they
and just
scythe. All right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'll say that he's. I'll say that gives you another boost die there, Tony, if you want to make it. If you want to make that check, but I do get a check. So he kind of comes. So he kind of comes back to you with a we're gonna do a charm check, like kind of he's actually going to compliment you on the construction of your tank. Like, I haven't seen construction quite like that before. Kind of like almost like when you're not using it. I mean, if you get an upgrade, you want to sell it to me, I might add it to my thing. So he's going to try and charm you and flatter you. So what is your cool?
2.
No,
sorry, 1.
Well, awesome! Wow, what the hell? This is great.
I'm an easy person to impress.
Yeah,
inflate my ego.
Yes. So presence. Oh, my charm is 2. I get a that and a that, and you have 1, right?
Die.
And I get a boost die.
Yeah, because of my flaw. It's pride.
Oh, I hit it. Oh, yes, I hit your pride. That's great.
I'm so arrogant and self-absorbed. Yes, you're just stroking my ego.
Accidentally, I'm hitting the ego. Oh, I did it on accident. That is perfect. I'm spending a story point just because. So I have a blue, 3 yellow, and a purple. Okay, here we go. Oh, did I get somebody gave me a setback die on my next check, though.
No, I wanted either a setback or a boost. And
you were going to give one to yourself.
Yeah, I'll take the boost.
You got it. Okay. All right. Well, your boost die can't. The boost die that he got canceled out the threat that I rolled. So
so it's all positive from there.
However, you are going to take 5 strain because I rolled 4 successes and 4 strain because that was not a negotiation check. Sorry. 4 strain, 1 advantage. I'm just going to say that he will I'll just say I'm gonna take a I'll just give myself a boost die to my next check that I make on you because I kind of touched. I noticed your telepathic resonance of that. I hit your pride, so I won't get the boost die the whole time, maybe because I didn't get the 2 advantage, just the 1 that I'll just get one on my next check instead of for the rest of the encounter. So I think I might have found out where I kind of hit you, but maybe not. All right, who's next? Back to you guys. Now keep track when I hit the middle of like half your strain. Let me know when I hit that, okay? Because I'm
close.
I know.
Close too.
Sweet.
All right. I'll go if you don't mind, Stefan.
Go ahead.
All right. So while he's complimenting me, and I really want to pay this man. I really do want to pay him what he's asking for, but I don't have the coin. So
No,
I'm
you
going to
don't.
flip a GM story point, or sorry, a player story point. So used to be
Okay.
a GM, to add something to the scene.
Sure.
So the stalls nearby, those merchants are now affected by the smell and the intimidation going on by my partner here.
I love it.
And they're starting to like shy away and move a little bit further away from, and one of them is distracted enough that I can see their coinage, their embits.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to use my telekinesis and
steal
skullduggery to steal the amount that we need to make up the balance.
Perfect. That's awesome. I'm just gonna go with against his perception then.
Okay.
Right? That's what
Yes.
that would be? Okay.
Yes.
So his cunning is 3, perception of 2, 2 red and a purple.
All right, so you gave me the boost die, and
Yep.
I would like, just because I'm really.
We'll say that it's at a distance. You'll get a boost die because those coins are at a distance, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe they're at short range or something.
Well, I gave myself a boost die. In that, and then you gave me a boost die for it being at a distance, right? Is that what you're saying? Two separate boost
Yeah.
dies? Just one? Okay.
The one because it's at a distance. A little harder for him to perceive it, right? I mean,
Gotcha. Okay. So what's my difficulty?
it'll be 2 red and a purple. His cunning is 3, perception of 2.
All right. I'll be rolling 2 yellow, 2 green, a pair of blue, and 2 purple and a red, or 2 red and a purple.
Okay.
You happy with all that?
Yes. I have enough red in the pool.
Okay. All right. Finally. All right. So
Uh-oh.
Some success.
I rolled
What'd you get?
3 successes.
Okay.
1 advantage.
Uh-huh.
So and a despair.
Oh.
So
Let's see here.
with my 3 advantage, I want to have said, or 3 successes, I want to have said that I grabbed exactly what I need. With the
500
advantage,
500 ember bits.
Yeah.
M
right,
bits.
500 M bits.
Okay.
The advantage is that it's the merchant that we're talking to. He doesn't even see that it kind of.
No, absolutely
None
not.
of that. It's the advantage is, so I would like for him to just be
Correct,
pleasantly pleased that we're paying.
Well, as far
amount.
as far as he's concerned, you're like, I misplaced this amount. I think I had to have some in here, my back pocket on my globe. Somewhere.
Well, actually, and it just starts.
You found some.
Like the tentacle that it kind of was scooped up off the ground. It just kind of, I scoop it up and just kind of lay that on the counter. This should make the balance of our payment. And he's pleased to see the extra 500 sitting there on the table.
Oh, and he's like, absolutely. And then he goes and
Now,
as he's yeah, don't worry about it. I got the despair. The despair is fine. That's easy. That's totally easy. So as he reaches down, he's like, he puts the ambits in his register, and he goes in and he kind of keys in a couple of whatevers and pulls out from the special area the dimensional satchel or haversack. Hangs it on one of your tentacles. And by the way, Stefan, your question earlier, whether there's guards in the merchant area, yes, there is. We're going to roll initiative for combat encounter next time, baby, or whatever. So that's the end of the social encounter, and that's advantageous threats.
If it hadn't gone that way, I was hoping to use my flaw of deception and lie and tell him that Sylar authorized us to give him a part of the ember that we'd be collecting with the haversack.
Oh, well, see, you totally could have done that. But yeah, Stefan, there are guards. Well,
Yes.
now, thanks to
Now there are
Totally.
guards. Well, yeah,
Give me your money.
they've been attracted by the stink.
Yeah. Now with that,
something stinky is going down.
Now I know we haven't really gone into an advantageous threats in a while, really, about like, talking about the resolution of things. So I do want to bring up something with that, Tony. As you were doing that, it's like, okay, well, it's not a social check. In a social encounter, typically you just use social skills, right?
Right.
But I'm like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, yeah, this could totally end the social encounter. Totally cool with me.
The social encounter was to try and get the item at a less than 3,500 cost.
Right. That wasn't happening.
That wasn't happening. I was failing. My partner
Right.
was failing. So my thought process was, all right, my character
Change the
would
narrative.
just change the
Yes.
scene. Yeah, that's why I flipped the story point to change the scene.
And me as a GM saying that, yes, but thinking in myself, if he rolls despair, there are guards. But then I was also thinking the but was if he fails. No, seriously, I was going through my head. It's like, okay, so if he fails, this merchant sees it based on the advantage or triumph. If you would have got an advantage or triumph, maybe this guy's all right with you stealing from somebody else. If there was a lot of threat generated, maybe he wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so those kinds of things were going into my mind as you were building the pool, as we were building the pool.
And you could have maintained the social encounter after.
Could have. So just wanted to bring that out, but that was a pretty cool ending to that one. And thanks for rolling it. Thanks for making one of those fanning rolls, Tony, and rolling a despair.
Thank you, Daryl, for showing up.
Yeah, despair
that's
Daryl.
a fanning.
I channeled despair Daryl.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
There we
That
go.
was great, though. All right, well done, gentlemen. That was fun. All right, let's end this puppy then.
All right, let's go home.
All right, everybody. Well, that's our show for tonight. Tune in, not next time, but episode 98, where we see whether or not these two chuckleheads get away from the guards that are in the in the merchant square, and who actually saw Ilgax. All right, and then let's see. So, but next time we're gonna have part 3 of Stefan running us through Tony, myself, and Tony's son Sean through Dragonstar, his adventure between a rock and a hard place.
Yes.
For next time.
Looking
We
forward
have.
to that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and both previous parts had like a rock featured prominently. First one was the shattered stone, which was a prison. The second one was the cliff face that you were stuck next to between you and the dragon, the ice worm.
Oh,
So
I see
let's
what
see
you
what-
did there.
Yeah, and let's see what other sedimentary formation I can squeeze you in. Next session.
Awesome. All right, Stefan. All right, what do we got for some listener feedback here?
We do have a bit of listener feedback. One we already answered previously when we were talking about the adventures with Alexander's initial message. Then we just got recently one from our regular listeners, Michael Miklashin, fellow French-Canadian here in Kazakhstan. So he says, I just heard the news that you guys are planning on shutting down the show. I have mixed feelings, but in the end, I think you guys have made a fantastic podcast, and I'm happy for you to move on to the next great thing. I think the episodes you put out will stand the test of time and will be an excellent resource for Genesys players years from now. I have nothing much else to say, but thank you for the great show, and I hope to roll some dice with you guys someday. Michael M. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Michael. It was nice to hear some feedback.
Man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
That's great, dude.
Yes, thank you, Michael. You writing into the show many times to ask us has been one of the highlights. As one of our listeners who's written us many emails, we really
one of the
appreciate
tens.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
One of our tens of listeners. Yes, I really appreciate it. I know the fun game that Chris and I had when you first started contacting us, trying to pronounce your name.
Yep.
Michael Miskalskin, right? Or Miskal.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Michael Michelin. Yeah, man. Episodes you put out will stand the test of time, dude.
And that's the hope.
That's
the hope.
great.
And we're going to keep them up there. We're not going to take them down anytime in the near future.
No, they'll be up there on the Podbean for sure for a while.
And YouTube.
We'll be here
YouTube.
forever.
Oh yeah.
We're like herpes. We'll just keep coming back around.
Yeah.
And when Tony and I started this, we wanted this to be a resource for players and to learn the game. That's kind of why we wanted to do it, and to learn the narrative, find the narrative with us, and explore this system with us. And then when Stefan joined the show, just made it that much better, right? I mean,
I thought you were going to say then it went to hell.
No, thrice the fun. That's what it became.
Yeah, three's the fun.
Yeah.
Like double mint, man, it's triple mint, baby. Right?
One of the things I do, I get on social media rarely, but I'm on there from time to time, and I'll see questions that are asked in the various Facebook groups, and there are a lot of times the answer to the question is we did an episode on that, and I just put a link to the episode.
That's great.
And just this week, somebody was asking about chase rules, and I'm like, "Hey, Speed Buggy, check it out!"
Yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah,
Speed Buggy Invitational.
Speed Buggy was fun. That was good.
Yeah, listen to the show, even. Come on, what are you waiting for?
Roll some despair, even.
So I hope that people are still listening to it long after we're done. So that's
me too. Me too.
All right,
kind words, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yep, Michael and everyone else, you can continue to write us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to Stefan and myself, Finding the Narrative on Facebook. We're there. Stefan more than me. You can reach out to all three of us still on Mayway. I still have the app on my phone. I don't know why. Finding the Narrative there also. And then our Twitter presence is at @FTN_Genesys. And that's all Stefan's baby. Recommend us to others in all those places where you found us before: Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, blah, blah, blah. At Finding the Narrative Podcast there. Also wanted to mention, or Steph wanted me to mention, if you haven't done so in a while, go out to the Edge Studio website. It has changed. There's a lot more information there.
Yeah.
I know it's been shared in other social media environments, but if your only contact with Genesys is our show, their website has a lot more information than it initially did, including several articles about Twilight Imperium, the upcoming book, and one article on the Kelleris, which Chris mentioned was part of that adventure tonight.
Yeah, a little interview with Sam Grigger.
And we'll have Chris put the link for Edge Studio again in our show notes. Very much appreciate the listeners out there who have been interacting with us, and I look forward to these next few episodes and finalizing this. So this is Tony saying, let's tell a story, spend a story point, add an element that wasn't there.
Yeah. And this is Stefan saying, dare to ask for those boost dice and pass them along when you have too many of them, or have your fellow players re-roll them.
And remember the rule of cool, especially when the cool fucking green guy in the tank is gonna go steal some embits telepathically from a nearby kiosk.
Telekinetically.
That too.
That too, yes. Michael
And you know what?
Mickelson.
Just what the fuck? Hey Bob, Ford! I mean, why not? This is random shit.
And it's pronounced Xcha and Hakan and Mahak.
Can I finish my tag sign off?
Okay, sure.
No. Just let them all just have fun doing it. That was it.
Yeah, even if they mispronounce everything.
I know.
It's okay.
Yep,
It is.
Part of your charm.
exactly.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right,
Lumberjack.
good night, everybody.
Good
Love you
night,
all.
Lumberjack. Yes.
Good night. Love you all.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright
2022.
all rights reserved.